Satang Prasanga.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So today we're moving on to a new letter, and it's a letter to Jadurani. I always get excited when I see the letters to Jadurani because Prabhupada really writes to her in a very daughterly way, in a very affectionate way as a daughter, and is always concerned about her health, and is also appreciating her service very much. She used to do the paintings, some of the many of the paintings of Krishna book and Bhagavatam was done by her. So, and then that famous Radha Krishna painting, the reddish one, that's done by her. So you can see the detail and the deep mood that she has. It's really amazing. So today's letter starts, Letter to Jadurani, Los Angeles, 13th January 1968. And Prabhupada writes it in reverse, numeric, and then he starts. My dear Jadurani, please accept my blessings. I thank you for your nice letters of January 11 and 13. Oh, that's very interesting. January 11 and 13, I think, let me just check this. Today's letter is dated the 13th. Yes. Today's letter is dated the 13th, so if he sent that and dated that on the 13th, means he sent it the same day. So, and it was just 3 days before, from the 11th, from the first letter. So it's the first time I've come across where Prabhupada has sent a letter, he's written a letter, sent a letter, and it's reached the person all on the same day. Wow. So Prabhupada goes on to say, I thank you for your kind appreciation for the tapes received there. So you remember Prabhupada was dictating, and then he would put it in a, like a packet, like a brown paper bag kind of packaging, and he would post it so that it can be transcribed. So, that is the way many of the tapes, that's how the tapes were sent. But it's also, there is one instant where some of the tapes got lost. So what happens then, because these are all original, like manuscript tapes. So what happens when they get lost? It's gone. What was there, and then it was gone. You never hear about it. So that is the way they would do the tapes. So Prabhupada goes on to say, also, thank you that you are trying to organize all the artists. So Prabhupada is appreciating what she's trying to do, to get to consolidate all the artists together. And artists are very independently thoughtful. They have their own mood about them. And it's needed because that's how they express themselves when they do paint. So to get them together, to cooperate, it can only happen if they all are united to serve the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada goes on to say, and doing so nicely. So he's appreciating what they're doing and is appreciating the efforts of these devotees. Because you must remember, there's no template. How do you start something? You don't even know what it looks like. You don't have a reference copy. You don't have a point of reference, and you're trying to paint something. How do you know what, the humorous situation when they painted Lord Chaitanya and they thought he was female. They painted him with the female body because they heard he's Radharani, and so they painted him with female extremities, which became so humorous because Prabhupada said, no, Prabhu's, Lord Chaitanya is a male. So they like little children, and Prabhupada is guiding them, do like this, do like that, read from the purports, read from the Shastra, and pray to Krishna, and what you see in your mind's heart, that is what you should try to paint. It's a very, very difficult situation. You don't have any idea of where to start. So, and knowing Prabhupada, he's such a perfectionist, and he has seen it. So how does he transfer what he is seeing to your heart, and how does he transfer that to you so that you can paint what he is seeing? Can you just imagine the situation there? It's really amazing. It's a miracle. It's nothing short of a miracle what these devotees actually did. Prabhupada goes on to say, no, there is no color picture of Lord Chaitanya's birthplace and temple at Mayapur. So you see, they're trying to get an idea, what does Lord Chaitanya's birthplace looks like? At that time, the Yoga Pit temple was there, but beyond that, there was nothing more than that. The area was vacant. It's not like today, it's become like a little city here. It's still a village, but it's developing into a big city. But at that time, there was nothing. So there was no photographs, there was no opportunity to do any of that. So how do you now, this is for Chaitanya Charitamrita, how do you then paint something like that? Really, really difficult. Prabhupada goes on to say, you can color with your choice. So Prabhupada is saying, you just pray to Krishna, and what inspiration you get, use that and draw and color with that, what it would look like. So you can imagine. Prabhupada goes on to say, yes, try at your convenience to paint pictures from the Bhagavat statement in terms of the purport and explanations. So Prabhupada is saying, read what I have written so far. From what you're hearing me say and speak, what do you picture? What do you envisage that the Lord is looking like? Because the descriptions are given. And use that and pray to the Lord and get inspiration to do these paintings. So Prabhupada goes on to say, so long we have got materialistic view, the serpent is fierce. So they are asking about, Prabhupada goes on to say about Prahlad Maharaj. So I'm supposing they're asking about Lord Nrsimhadev and the Ananta Shesh above Lord Nrsimhadev. They said, Prabhupada, this is a fierce snake here you want us to paint. How is that divine? It's really difficult to say, huh? So I was just remembering Sridhar Maharaj. Sridhar Maharaj, a disciple of Prabhupada, who passed away when the Panchatattva were installed, 2004. And he was very sick at that time, and he was always known as the Jolly Maharaj. He was always happy and laughing and creating very nice energy, So when he joined the temple, then his parents came to visit him. And as they walked up the stairs, they see this big picture of Lord Nrsimhadev there. And his father says, and that? So he turned around and said, yes, Dad, that is God. He said, what? Yes, and he's killing a demon there. And the demon's son is a great devotee. And he's looking, what did my son get involved in? This gruesome killing of blood and everything, and this man is across the lap of this lion, and the son is standing there and praying to the lion, not to to stop, but to kill. It's really confusing, because for a normal person looking at that, they're just going to get short-circuited. They're just going to get bewildered. But Prabhupada is saying, if you read the Leela, then you understand the Tattva. Therefore, you have to read the Leela. You have to read to understand. That's why Krishna does pastimes like that. So the conditioned soul looking at that, it says, by his curiosity, how do I make sense of this? Well, read what it says about it now. If you read about it, then you'll understand what is going on. And once you start reading the scripture, you start understanding, that's it. You'll start your spiritual life. So Prabhupada is explaining that point. So they're asking about Ananta Shesh, why this snake is so fierce here. And Prabhupada goes on to say here, when Prahlad Maharaj saw Narasimhadev, he was not at all afraid of the fearful feature of the Lord. The big jaws and nails of the Lord Narasimhadev and fiery tongue of the Lord and gigantic lion's head did not create any fearful havoc before Prahlad Maharaj. So he's quoting the description in the 7th canto when Narasimhadev appeared and how fearful he was, and his tongue was lashing around and he was angry and his nails and claws. Where is this demon? Where is this Hiranyakashipu? I'll just kill him. So he was so angry that even after he killed him, he couldn't calm down until Prahlad came there. And they sent Lakshmi, you're the wife, go, calm your husband down. She turned around and said, I don't even know who this is. I never seen my husband like this. I don't even know if it is my husband. I'm not going there. So they said, Brahma, he said, no, I'm not going there. Look at this. Phew, you want me to go there? Oh, I'll be next in line. So he refused, and if he refused, all the demigods, they also, oh, no, he's ask him only, na. He is the head there. If he is refusing, where you expect us to go there? So nobody could go. Lakshmi Devi refused, Brahma refused, demigods refused. Then they said, the only thing is, where's Prahlad? Bhakto sime sakachati rahasyam hyetad uttamam. Only the devotee knows the secret. So therefore, if you want to know about the Lord, you consult the devotee. So where is Prahlad? Prahlad, idhar aaye? They called him. You go and pacify your Lord. And as soon as he went there, Narasimhadev became pacified. So Prabhupada is describing this sweet pastime. You must know, 7th canto is not even ready yet, but he's describing this to them. So Prabhupada goes on to say, he said, my dear Lord, I am not afraid of this your fearful feature, but I am afraid of the repeated cycle of birth and death in this material existence. So just see what the devotee is fearful of and just see what the materialist is fearful of. The devotee is not fearful of this feature of the Lord because he knows this feature is protecting me. So it's not meant to frighten me, it's meant to protect me. But the materialist, when they look at that, they says, if I go in there, what will happen to me? So see what the devotee, but the devotee said, so when they asked the devotee, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid of the samsara, the cycle of birth and death. That's what I'm afraid of, because it means my whole life is wasted. All that I did in my whole life is completely wasted because now I have to go back into that cycle and take birth again, be born again, go through the whole living and experiences of life again, and then die again. That's why Jad Bharat, when he had his chance, he pretended to be dumb because he knew if I miss this chance now, I already took a birth as a deer. I already took birth as Bharat Maharaj, then a deer. Now I'm Jad Bharat, and I'm not going to take any chances. They're so adamant. I'm not taking any chances. Therefore, the Uttama Bhagavad doesn't come down to the material level. And he only comes down to preach. And when he comes to preach, he even changes his consciousness to the Madhyam level. Because the Uttama actually can't preach. He's seeing everybody is doing service and I'm not doing anything. So how do you preach to anyone? So he has to change his consciousness and then he can try to help others. Prabhupada goes on to say, that instruction is very valuable to So Prabhupada is talking about the samsara, that you fear the birth and death. That's the only thing you fear. Otherwise, Krishna is saying, Masuchaha, do not fear, I'm taking care of everything. But why are you fearing? Because you're not putting in 100%. If you're putting in 100%, there's nothing to fear. But because you're not putting in 100%, you're thinking, hey, that way I'm not putting in the full effort, then what will happen with that part? So Jayapataka Maharaj once asked Srila Prabhupada that Prabhupada, because Prabhupada is giving a class and he said, if you're 100%, unless you're 100% Krishna conscious, you can't go back to Godhead. And then Jayapataka Maharaj said, but can we get little, better, some discount? And Prabhupada is saying, okay, 90%. And then he stood up from the Vyasa-san. And Prabhupada, then he saw Prabhupada looking all their faces, they're thinking, hey, that's not, okay, it's something, but not much of a discount. Prabhupada said, okay, 80%. And then he stood up from the Vyasa-san. And as he just about to step, he could see that they were still not satisfied. And then he said, 70% Krishna consciousness, no less. And then he threw his chadar over his shoulder and he walked. So Prabhupada is saying, if you are 70% Krishna conscious, so 70% of 24 hours, if we're 70% Krishna conscious, then there's a very good chance we can go back to. Who will give such concession? Already, what Krishna, some devotees say, Prabhu, give some concession now. 4 regulator principles, 16 rounds, this, that is too much. Prabhupada, Krishna consciousness is already the concession. What more you want? Remember, this is the life, this is the path of the sadhus. Mahatmana yena gata supanta. These great devotees only walk this path. But I'm taking all of you with me. So this little I'm asking you is too much. So Prabhupada would say, Krishna consciousness is already the concession. Just follow this, how many letters we read before. Just follow this, chant your 16 rounds, do some service, follow the principles, and in this lifetime, Prabhupada is guaranteeing you go back to Godhead. In this lifetime. One lifetime, how powerful this process is to perfect you. And yet most of us joined late when I joined when I was 21. Most of those who are congregation would join when they're like 30, or because they're working and life it's difficult. So they have to juggle between material existence and spiritual life, getting all those things together. So how much of time is there? But we have to bring it at least up to 70%. This is Prabhupada's request. So Prabhupada goes on to say, in our material existence, we are always in dangerous and fearful condition. But by the spell of Maya, we do not take it very seriously. So Prabhupada is saying, because you are under the spell of Maya, you don't think this is serious. What is the illusion there? You have a concept in your mind of what the reality is, and what the reality is a total different thing. So Prabhupada is saying, therefore, you're not fearful. You're not fearful. So Prabhupada is saying, by reading scripture, by reading literature, hearing from sadhus, you start to understand what is the reality. And then you start to act accordingly. So Prabhupada says here, the serpent-like feature of the Lord is another expansion of the Lord to provide his place on the ocean. He is not at all fearful to the devotees. He is not at all fearful to the devotees. I'm wondering, Prabhupada is using this word fearful. Is it an English word, or is it a word that Prabhupada has created? Fearful. Interesting. Prabhupada goes on to say, yes, the ecstasy of separation of the spiritual master is even greater ecstasy than meeting with him. So she's probably saying, Prabhupada, I'm missing you so much. And Prabhupada is saying, and yet I'm feeling that separation and it's ecstatic as well. So why is it ecstatic? Because while in that separation, you're working hard for the spiritual master. You're doing so much. Otherwise, when you meet him, what will you offer him? What will you offer him? But when you're working hard for the Guru, when you're working hard for the spiritual master, when you meet him, you have so many things to offer him, and the ecstasy just increases. So Prabhupada says, please continue your excellent service, and I will always be so pleased with your sincere service, as I am so much happy with you. See how nice Prabhupada is writing. I'm so much happy with you. This is so amazing and encouraging. Prabhupada then ends, hope you are well, and I hope your injured thumb is now fully recovered. So she probably hurt her hand, so difficult to paint, but she's continuing. So what a sweet letter. Prabhupada ends, your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So it's one of those beautiful letters that are just so heart-melting and encouraging. So I hope you have a good day today. Please join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.